Hi, it's Tonya. I am going to tell you about my why and meaning about my fitness journey and why I continue to do what I do. But first, I need to give you background because some of you have known me for a while, some of you haven't known me for very long, or maybe have only known me since I've been healthy and don't really know a lot of my backstory. So this is that story. This journey had lots of ups and downs, tears of sadness, tears of happiness, quite a lot of tears, and just a lot of, can I do this? And a lot of sweat. Definitely a lot of sweat. And it starts in 2009. My mom and dad were in a pretty serious accident in June of 2009, which put my mom in the hospital. And after she got out of surgery and I saw her, I basically had a light bulb moment. She was very unhealthy, very overweight, and could not do a single thing for herself. And I thought to myself, I'm going right along that path. I have back problems, I have knee problems, I am overweight. A lot of that weight came from getting laid off in 2008, and I just never recovered from that, even though I was working in 2009. So that was kind of my first light bulb moment, I should say. Then I made a decision that I was going to do something about it. I talked to one of my really good friends, Stacy, and she happened to have the P90X DVDs from her brother, and she's like, let's try this. I'm like, okay. So we did, and it was hard. I mean, not only are they an hour long, but we both were very out of shape. We did the fit test. We did all of our measurements, our before pictures. Her kids even did some of it with us, which was kind of cool. But by the time I would drive to her house and we would get going, and sometimes I would eat dinner with them, I was single at the time, and then get home, I mean, it would be 2.5 hours. So we made it through, I think, about halfway out of those 90 days. Then school started and all the excuses. I don't have time, I have to grade papers, I need to work late, and life just kind of moved on. In December of that year, I had been over there and we were looking at pictures after Christmas and all of that on her computer. And I saw this picture of her, or saw a picture of her daughter making a gingerbread house with someone. And I was like, oh, well, Emily and I made a gingerbread house together. Like, she made more than one? Who is that? And Stacy looked at me dead in the face and said, Tonya, that's you. And I was like, oh my God. I honestly did not recognize myself. I can picture exactly that moment, where we were sitting, what her face looked like, and how I felt. And I said, girl, then, okay, enough excuses. We need to do something. Again, so we started looking into things. Her family, especially her aunt, is into holistic medicine and had heard about something that was just starting to become aware in the community. Wasn't even FDA approved yet or out on the market, but there was a doctor down in Indiana who was interviewing people for it and seeing if they were good candidates for it. So we did our research of what was out there. We read a book about it and really looked into it, talked to our family members, because that's one of the most important things, is making sure that your family is on board with it. And we said, okay, let's see if it works. So we went down to Indiana, met with the doctor, listened to his spiel, and he interviewed us, asked us lots of questions, and he thought we were really good candidates. We thought we would be able to start the program right away, but he had given us some parameters of what you need to do. I was on like 5 different medications for certain ailments, and he's like, you can't be on any medications, you need to do this kind of thing. So what we did all that, and I think it was about 3 weeks after that we were able to start, and that took us all the way up till February of 2010. And so we started doing what's called HCG. I'm not going to get into a lot of details about it. I can tell you more about it. It's still, I think it is out on the market where you can get it, like at Meijer and online. But that's what we decided to do to get started. And that journey lasted for about 3 years. We went off and on, because you can do one round of it and then you have to pause and let your body recover and do some things, and then you can do it again. And we went all the way up until her oldest daughter's high school graduation, which was in June of 2013. And my family was on board, but not. Like, my mom would send me an article here about how ACG wasn't good for you. You can't work out during it, which I definitely now, after many years, don't recommend that. And people think, oh, that's an easy fix, because a lot of those programs, that's what they are, easy fix. But it helped us because it got the weight off. And so I was very confident. I was the thinnest, but not necessarily the healthiest that I'd ever been. And I was very successful with that, as far as at least starting out and getting the weight off. Then I met Josh about a month later, after that graduation. And as I said, I was the thinnest I'd ever been. And my confidence was really high, and that showed through my dating. And when I showed him the before picture, he was absolutely floored. And we started discussing, okay, and because he kind of had an idea that he wanted to also get healthy. And so we started talking about how can we do it, because this is obviously something that is not sustainable, and he was not interested in doing it, and I was done with it also. So we talked about what we could do to get healthy, and what we could do for eating and change our eating habits and that kind of thing. Around that time, Stephanie Steele, a childhood friend of mine that lived right across the street from me for years. Hi, Stephanie, because I'm sure you probably are watching. She had introduced me to and had talked about Beachbody. And I knew about it because of P90X, but didn't know a ton about it. But when I talked to her that we were talking about our nutrition, she suggested Shakeology. So we agreed to start that. And we really tried to dial in our nutrition to have that at the beginning of the day, every day. So that worked, and for about 6 months, we were working out periodically and drinking our shakes. And then at the end of that year, everything was going fine. And then my mom got sick at the beginning of 2014 and passed away in March. And that hit our family really, really hard. It was very unexpected. And I still to this day feel that if she would have been healthier, we might still have her. She might have been able to recover from getting sick, but she didn't. And I was determined to not let that send me backwards. It actually gave me even more determination of, I don't want that to happen. I'm not dying in my 60s. I, want to make sure that I'm continuing what we're doing. And so we didn't go backwards. We continued to drink our Shakeology. I didn't say this previously, but right around the time that I met Josh, I started running, which I'd never thought in a million years I'd be able to do, but because I had the weight off, I was able to do that. So I started really small. And in 2015, I trained for a 10K. That was kind of a bucket list of mine. And it was a huge accomplishment, and I did it. I was slow, but I did it. But that gave me even more determination to get faster. So I wanted to get even healthier because I wanted to run faster. Those of you that don't know me, I'm very goal-oriented. I like having a goal or something that I can reach and go and surpass, and then continue and continue. After the run, that really got me even more motivated, as I said. And so we had set a date by then to get married in July in Jamaica. And that's when I reached out to Stephanie and said, okay, I'm ready to start a program. And at the time, Beachbody was still doing DVDs. And so I got 21 Day and 21 Day Fix Extreme, from Autumn. And I'd never worked out like every single day. And this was a 3-week program that you worked out every day with like kind of recovery day on the 7th day. And then Extreme was also 3 more weeks. And so it would have been 6 weeks total. And I did it, and I felt like a boss. I was like, yes, I did it. So the next 2 years, my weight fluctuated on and off. I'm sure many of you, men and women, can relate that. I mean, it doesn't take much at all to put it on, but it takes twice, if not 3 times longer to get it off of you. And I had a gym membership that I used maybe once a week, sometimes maybe twice, but I was not utilizing like I should. But I said, okay, well, the running's working for me. So I had another bucket list goal, was to do a half marathon, which I still to this day cannot believe that I did it, but I did. So that definitely gave me encouragement, but the gym wasn't working out. And so about that time that I had realized that the gym wasn't really for me either, Stephanie suggested about Beachbody On Demand. And I was like, I don't know if I can work out at home. And she goes, well, it's not working for you to go to a gym, so maybe you should try this. So I gave it a shot, and I fell in love. I saw that I could do programs. I saw that they had calendars and they had schedules, and that's me. That's, I'm the planner. And the first one I did was Shift Shop. And so besides the autumn program that I had done on DVDs, I felt very accomplished. I did that one all by myself. Josh was doing other things. He's able to work out at work. And so he was doing that. And then I was pretty much the only one using Beachbody On Demand. But I absolutely loved it. And then while I was doing that, I was still continuing to run. I actually started getting involved running with neighbors and encouraging them. And they had never really been runners before either. And so we had a goal, with Angie, she wanted to do a 5K. Same thing with Carmen. So Carmen's who I started running with first, who was a neighbor, and then Angie also. And then we kind of started running together. We got Angie all the way up to a 10K. So we both went to run camp and trained for that and did a 10K together. And then after that, Carmen wanted to start working out with me. So we did 80-day obsession. And that was in 2018. And yes, 80 days, most of them complete hour workouts. And my family decided to do it with me. That was really the first one that we decided to do together. So even Alana. So the weeks that Alana was with us, we have our half time. Those of you that don't know that, she would do the workout. So she did 40 out of the 80 days. And it just kind of became this thing that we did. We were planning, we were meal planning together. I call it meal planning and prep. And we just loved it. Even when we were gone for spring break, we did kind of a staycation in Michigan. We went away to a bed and breakfast. We still took our weights and took our supplies because we thought we were going to be done, but didn't realize she didn't count some of the days. So it actually ends up being more than 80 calendar days. And but we did it. We finished it that week, and we were very, very proud of ourselves. Carmen also did the whole thing, and we absolutely loved it. We thought it was a really intense program at the time. Don't get me wrong, it was hard, especially being hour workouts. It was hard, but we still did it. I wrote notes, so that's why I'm just making sure that I cover everything. So again, that was at 2018. I was very fit. I was healthy with our nutrition. And after that workout program, my back started hurting even more. I'd actually heard it during the run of the half marathon. I know it was on mile 9. I heard it happen, and basically felt it happen, and my disc slipped out of place. And so we set up to have surgery in August of 2018. So I was even more determined and had a goal that I knew I wasn't going to be able to work out during that time, except for like walking and or fast walking that I got up to. But so I got even more fit, and that's when I really super dialed on the nutrition during 80 day and continued what is called Ultimate Portion Fix, where you use the colored containers. Those of you that have ever seen 21 Day, that's what it started with. I did the containers during 21 Day. And really have kind of kept eating that way, but I love sweets, and so I would kind of just gradually move on to adding more and more things that that necessarily weren't with that nutrition. So I got really fit, had the back surgery, and I did everything that I was allowed to do. I walked and walked and walked and walked and walked, and I thought, okay, this works for me. And as soon as I got the okay to work out, I started working out again. For insurance reasons, I went ahead and scheduled to do a hysterectomy at the end of December so that it would all be in the calendar year, and knew from what people had said that you know, will gain weight probably, and it's really hard to get off. And man, they weren't kidding. I don't necessarily know where, but it just immediately almost 10 pounds was gained. And, you know, it changes your hormones and changes just the chemistry in your body. And so I was like, okay, this is going to be even harder for me to lose the weight. And of course, getting older. But as soon as I was able to work out, Shaun T came out with Transform 20 right about the beginning of 2019. And some staff members were getting together after work to do the program. And so I also was training again for a 10K. And the running really was taking a lot out of me after the 2 surgeries. So I didn't necessarily finish all of Transform 20 at the time. But then after the race in May, I went ahead and did Transform 20 again. And I loved that program. One, because it's only 20 minutes. But it doesn't use weights. So I really love to lift weights. But it is 20 minutes and it's fast. And you definitely have goals that you try to beat each week. And you have this big chart. And I have an extra chart if anybody ever wants to do Transform 20 that I can give you. But I loved that program. I loved being able to beat my goal. So that takes me up to about a year ago in July of 2019. A good friend of mine, Amy Tomlinson, came to me and said, all right, you know, I have my 2 kids and I'm ready to get myself in shape and get healthy. So let's get serious about it. And so we basically made a pact to work out together. At the time, Amy Callahan also wanted to do the program, and right around there, Jericho's Meltdown 100 was coming out. And yes, 100 means 100 workouts, but they were only 30 minutes, also very fast, very intense, and we really liked it. We committed to it. We tried to get together to do it together at my house for the workouts. If we couldn't, then sometimes even Callahan would come to my house and do it because it was just, life was hectic at her house. If they couldn't, they made sure that they did it and sent me a picture to prove that they did it. We went on trips separately, but still got it done. I went on a scrapbooking retreat. I still did the workouts. I just made sure, and we really held each other accountable, and that is so important. I highly recommend it. We did the whole thing. We decided they also had it where you could double up the workouts and get it done in half the time. So we thought, okay, we'll do that, and that'll take us up through, we're all 3 educators, so that would take us up through after Christmas break. And we got through about 80 days of it, and then we're like, okay, we want to move on to something else. So we found other things to do during the Christmas break. We did a week of Shaun T, and oh man, those workouts, whew, lots of sweat there. And we even worked out on Christmas. Yes, she came over after everybody did presents and everything, and we worked out before I went over to my dad's. I got Alana and Josh and I both did, we all 3 did the workouts, and even had Dad do a workout with us while we went over to my dad's. So, you know, getting the whole family involved. And then a week after that, we did a little more obsessed because she had never done 80-day and really wanted to try it. So we were trying to plan it of when we thought we could get 80-day done around the same time that I did it 2 years ago. So we did a little more obsessed, which is a week of workouts that you usually do after, but she just wanted to make sure that she liked them, and she did. So we did those. And then COVID hit, and we said, you know what, we're not going to let this deter us. So before we ended up having to stay at home, even though school was ending, we were still able to see each other. So we continued the workouts. She would come over, and then whenever we did the stay-at-home order happened, we were doing them through Zoom. And Alana had decided that she wanted to do the 80 days, and she was even Zooming in at her mom's. So this program was the first one she did all the way through. Was so proud of her. She chose to do that all on her own. And I made the suggestion of, hey, if Tomlinson's Zooming in, you can Zoom in at your mom's. And so she did all 80 days. After that, I thought, you know what? I bet there's lots of people who can't work out right now. So I'll let more people join. And so we decided to do Bar Blend. I wasn't for sure about that program. I really like weights, and you only hold like 2 pounds, sometimes 3-pound weights, and it uses a bar if you have one, like in ballet. But if you don't, you just use a chair, which is what we did. And man, it still burned. It burned a lot. I actually had more success with losing inches on my legs, which are my nemesis, than any other program I've ever done. And you don't even hardly use weights. So really liked that. And some days I had 9 people zooming in, and sometimes I only had 2. But it for sure was always Alana zooming in if she was at her mom's, and Tomlinson zooming in for sure. So I at least knew. And were there days when I would try talking them out of it, talking myself out of it? Yes. But I never missed a workout. I have not missed one during this entire time during quarantine, because I have someone, Amy, but also Alana, who, if I would say I don't want to do it, they'd say okay, but I don't want to let them down, and I don't feel guilty if I have those thoughts, because there's times when you don't want to work out, but I knew that I needed to be there for them. And that's what gives me more joy than anything, is just seeing other people have success and their accomplishments. So I got up and did it every day. Josh and I were even able to go to Jamaica for our anniversary for our 5 years. So we were even doing workouts during them, because after Bar Blend, then we did a mixture of Lift 4, which is with Joel Freeman. That is weights. And I was like, oh man, I've missed weights. But then we also paired that and did workouts of Autumn's. And so it's a hybrid program that Joel and Autumn put together for 4 weeks. And I was doing them even in Jamaica. We repeated that week when we came back, which takes us to the middle of July. So this time we've been working out a full year together every day, mostly. Some programs were 6 days a week, some are 7. But the 7th day is always like some type of stretching, or, it's not anything too intense. And then after that, that's when Summit came out. Summit's like the yearly conference that Beachbody has. And of course it was virtual this year. So I picked some Summit workouts to do, and we actually did 2 a day on those, just to get as many in as we could from different trainers. And then, and Josh did those, a few of those too. And then we decided to do Muscle Burns Fat, which is the new program right now. And I absolutely love it. I get my weights. It's asymmetrical training with weights, and so I'm actually strengthening this left shoulder that always seems to be hurting me if I do a lot of shoulder work, and it has just been great. We're on week 3 right now, and we'll move into Muscle Burns Fat Advanced after that. And as I said, are absolutely loving it. A little bit, I can talk more also about the programs, but also talk about Josh's journey during this quarantine, because I created programs for him, but that's going to be in a different video. So going with the nutrition part, since March and the quarantine, this is actually before the COVID happened, I had decided that I really wanted to dial down even more. I use that word a lot. Autumn uses it. And so I decided to go on the ultimate portion fix as far as actually measuring my food again in the containers. Josh said, fine, cool, I'll do it with you. And we've been on it about a week, and then when we got Alana that next week, she was like, hey, you're doing the container system, can I do it too? And we're like, sure. So we actually have all been doing it since March and have continued to do it up to this day. And that is just something that really gets my heart. Like, she has seen us be consistent. She's tried different Shakeology. Sometimes a fan likes vanilla more than she likes chocolate, but it's just not something she really wants every day. She doesn't really actually like breakfast. And so, she's actually asked if she could try the Daily Sunshine, which is the kid version. And so I just ordered that for her. So we'll see how that goes. But just her seeing that consistency really made us feel good that she chose to work out with us, and she chose to eat healthier with us. And she looks amazing to start high school, even though it's going to be virtual. But to start high school, she just is, you can tell she's more confident and just feels better all the way around, especially because she hasn't been doing a sport. So I think that probably was a little bit of a motivation for her for that. We do that meal prep and plan, and we've already done a video for that I will post later. But I just seen My coworkers, I would put selfies and send them in text messages. And I had a coworker who started running and really getting on the ball and getting in shape because of it. You know, when they see that someone who, I'm 47 years old, can do this and can encourage other people to do it, then that's why I'm in education. I've always seen what people could be and how they can be better, and have always tried to pull that out of them. And so that's really why I do this. That's why this journey has been such a fitness. None of my family or friends ask me, when are you done with your diet anymore? Because that used to be the question all the time. And it's not. I've never called it a diet. It's a healthy way of living and just of being. And it helps not only physically, but just your mind, and just your family connections and your friend connections. So as I said, are the workouts hard? Definitely. But now it's just become such a routine that we don't miss a day. And if you're one of these people that was like, well, that's great. She only has a kid part of the time. I have little kids. Well, let me tell you, Amy Tomlinson has a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old. She is on starting year 2 of being a principal, and is having to basically come up with 3 programs of face-to-face, hybrid, and all distance learning with her school, and get her staff and her entire school ready for that. And she still shows up every day. And do you know how I help with that? I get up at 5:15. Because I kind of am turning into more of a morning workout person, and which she loves. And if that's what's going to get her to get it done, then I'm going to get up and do it, because I can always take a nap later if I want to. But that's what I do, because that's how much I want to help. So if you're still with me, 26 minutes in, I know this is a long, but my journey, has been over a decade. So I'm not going to apologize for for talking so much. But if this interests you even a little bit, I have felt like I really haven't had a purpose every day because of having to be home from my job. And even though I'm going to be working in the fall, I just kept getting this draw of, I think I now want to start my fitness business to really get it off the ground, because I became a Beachbody coach for the discount. I mean, that's why most people do it. And, whether I sell things, great, but I just want more of a community. So I have created a nation. It's a Colvin Nation. And I have created a Facebook group called Colvin Nation Fitness that I will invite you to if you're interested. And I also have an Instagram page called Colvin Nation Fitness. And that's where I will be posting in that group, so that I'm not putting everything on my personal page. Recipes, different programs that are coming out from Beachbody, different tips. I probably will do more videos than anything, because it's just easier. As I said, I already did a meal planning and prep video to put on that page. And just to get us all together, putting our sweaty selfies, asking the hard questions to where hopefully I can answer, and just really creating a fitness community that people want to be in, and to be part of this Colvin Nation. And lastly, I hope that I've given you some kind of information, maybe some kind of inspiration. But again, I just really want a community where people are very supportive of each other. And so I want you to be a Colvinator. So are you going to be my first Colvinator in my Colvin Nation Fitness group? Thanks for listening. Bye.